The time is 2 p.m. You're watching yet another edition of Market View, ERS Text Talk, right here on Eswatini TV. I am Nathalie Tole. Welcome to the program. Our discussion today matters most, especially in the world of employment and business compliance. We're talking all things pay-as-you-earn, commonly known as payee registration. Many employers often overlook or delay registering for payee, sometimes due to lack of information or misunderstanding with the law. However, failure to register can lead to penalties and challenges for both employers and employees. But what exactly is payee? Who is required to register, and when should registration take place? We'll be joined by the Eswatini Revenue Service to unpack these for us. But first, our business stories. In our business news, the First National Bank Eswatini and the First National Bank Foundation have demonstrated their continued commitment to empowering local entrepreneurs by supporting this year's Entrepreneur of the Year Awards with 2 million emalangeni, an increase from 1.7 million emalangeni last year. This enhanced contribution underscores their dedication to driving economic growth, innovation, and sustainable business development in the kingdom. Chantal Littler, Executive Head of Commercial Banking at First National Bank, who was representing the Chief Executive Officer, made this announcement during the launch at Royal Villas, Eswatini. This year's 20th edition is held under the theme 20 Years of Nurturing Future Growth.
The contribution this year from FNB Eswatini and FNB Foundation is 2 million. Am I right? This sponsorship package covers the grand prize for the national winner, as well as prize monies for national and regional winners, as well as supporting activities in the different regions. Given that it's 20 years, we want to do things differently. We want our presence to be felt throughout the regions. On top of the grand prize, we're also proud to sponsor 7 categories in both regional and national stages. These categories include youth-owned businesses, women-owned, most innovative, techno-savvy, green business, agribusiness, and the overall winner.
The Minister for Commerce, Industry and Trade, Honorable Manqoba Khumalo, speaks about the cumulative impact of the program.
The Entrepreneur of the Year Awards has recognized over 162 different winners, dispersed over 2.4 million emalangeni in cash prizes directly into growing businesses, and supported a combined workforce of over 1,600 employees across winning enterprises. Perhaps most strikingly, the combined annual turnover of recognized businesses has exceeded 167 million emalangeni, a figure that underscores beyond any doubt that this is not simply an award ceremony. It is an economic intervention. Each prize handed out on that stage is working capital reinvested. Each winner recognized is a business that is being strengthened, a job that is sustained, and a community that is being uplifted.
Last year's winner says this opportunity has contributed immensely to the transformational growth of his business, as he now hires over 45 people.
Winning the year 2025 grand prize has truly been a blessing. At that time, our company was in need of a working party, and the prize came at the right moment, and it was not only financial support, it was recognition and encouragement, and a reminder that small businesses in Eswatini can grow when given the right support. We are also proud to mention that through the support of SEDCO, DJD has received an award at the iconic Africa Summit in Zimbabwe.
SEDCO Chief Executive Officer Ketiwe Mhlanga explains the requirements for entering these awards.
Requirements for entering this competition for an SME is just being legally registered. It doesn't matter which level you are in, whether you are a vendor or you are at retail. We all just expect you to have the right kind of registration that is for your kind of business. We also expect you to be, of course, in accordance with the law in terms of your tax obligation, as well as being able to pay your provident fund as well for your employees. We all know it's quite critical to ensure the safety, health of your employees is taken care of. Also, we want to see the place you work at. Are your records being kept accordingly? Are you able as well to cater to your customer in terms of customer service? Are you able to market your business accordingly? And issues of sustainability, where do we see a future of your business? Is it going to be able to scale up? Or there are some still areas where you need support in. So it doesn't matter which level you are still at, there's room for you. Also, people with disabilities, please ensure that you enter. We recognize you for these awards.
The Taiwan ICDF donated 55,000 emalangeni, Eswatini National Provident Fund 105,000 emalangeni, and FinCorp Group 51,000 emalangeni. The Minister for Commerce, Industry and Trade has said entry forms are available at SEDCO social media platforms as well as SEDCO offices. Reporting, Nelson Langamandla for Minkosi Nzinisa, Eswatini.
The Linak Investment Group has officially opened Right Value Grocery at Sicelweni, Gakhoza and Manzini with an investment valued at approximately 4 million emalangeni. The founder, Lincoln Mota, stated that the establishment, which was commissioned by the Minister for Commerce, Industry and Trade, Honorable Manqoba Khumalo, has created employment for over 50 eMaswati. The project was financed by Eswatini Bank with 2.3 million emalangeni.
The Minister for Commerce, Industry and Trade, Honorable Manqoba Khumalo, says it is encouraging to see businesses such as Linak Investment Group investing in local communities. He adds that such investments play a crucial role in driving community development.
Lokubona le business ya Linak ikhula indlondlobala kuyasitshela lokuthi eMaswati nembala ebhizinisini ayakhula andlondlobele ngendlela lemangasana. Lokho kumqoka ngoba buthi madute esitabe roll out singhulumende program yekuthi kuletindzawo letitsiteni bekuhamba baphume lokho sifuna kusho without fear bekuhamba baphume kungene eMaswati.
The founder of Linak Investment Group, Lincoln Mota, says the establishment falls under the Icona Group. He further explains that the structure houses a pharmacy, a butchery and a liquor store and has created employment for over 50 eMaswati. Mota adds that the quality of service eMaswati will receive will be on par with that of OK Foods. He confirms that Right Value Grocer will officially open for the public this coming Saturday.
Lesakhiwo siphansi Linak Group but under the Icona Trust. Sakhiwo lesi lesikhethe kusibeka kulendzawo lesitabe siranwa inkampani yethu lenye lebitwa nga Right Value Grocer. Kutaba na Right Value Grocer phinze kube na Right Value Liquor. Lamaceleni ke sine ma-line shops lafaka ifamasi ne-butchery. Silethe nje service lenhle le-standard lesiphakeme kulomanga wakhoza. Le service latiwa ngayo lekubo okay is the same service that means uyikhanze ngala kakhoza namuhla. Namhla ke sivula lesakhiwo officially tathi ngemgcibelo ke titolo tonke bese setiyavula tiyasebenza.
The Member of Parliament for Manzini North, Mashayinkonjane Nhlengedwa, has called on the minister to assist in fast-tracking the tarring of the road project from Sicelweni Gakhoza to Hillside which also connects to the newly built establishment. He says they wish to engage micro-projects, noting that the community has already raised 86,000 emalangeni towards the project, to which the minister pledged his support.
The business lena solo uya delay ukuyivula umvulane solo buku umgwaqo ngimthembisa umgwaqo minister so vele wawuvula ngicela ungilekelele umgwaqo sesiraise imali lenganga 86,000 sicela ukuthi manje nawe ungilekelele ka micro project ukuthi sufake lo mgwaqo usuka la uya le hillside.
Mbongeni Bembe, Executive Manager for Risk and Data Analytics at Eswatini Bank, who was representing the Managing Director at the event, says Eswatini Bank has invested over 1.6 billion emalangeni across key sectors of the economy. He says these include infrastructure development, small and medium enterprises, agribusiness, healthcare, housing, and corporate enterprises. Reporting, Nelson Langamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Manzini.
And you're up to date with some of the latest in business. After the break, we'll speak to the Eswatini Revenue Service. Stick around.
Those that are in pain must forget all the problems they have. Because the things of the earth have got no answer. But the answer that we have is all morning. When I'm preaching here, I'm preaching to myself. I receive the Holy Spirit.
I declare a turnaround is coming my way.
Turnaround is coming in my life.
Welcome back. You're still watching Market View ERS Text Talk. In our unpacking of text matters today, we're focusing on pay-as-you-earn registration, especially for employers who have not yet registered. And if you do employ staff, this conversation is definitely for you. And my guests today are Nduduzo Dlamini, ERS Manager, Communications and Marketing, and Tulile Simelane, who is the ERS Senior Taxpayer Education and Information Officer. And they join me in the studio. Good afternoon. How are you guys doing?
Good afternoon, Natsile.
Good. Glad to have you both in the studio. Nduduzo, I'll start with you. What is pay-as-you-earn really, and why is it important?
Thanks, Natsile. Good afternoon to you once again and the viewers. Thanks for having us once again at ERS Text Talk, for us to be able to talk anything ERS. Maybe to unpack what is PAYE. PAYE is pay-as-you-earn. It stands for pay-as-you-earn, which means this is an income tax which an employer needs to deduct on a monthly basis from their employees. So what will happen on a monthly basis is that your employer will deduct this and submit it to ERS. So what you would see from your side as the employer, you will see on your pay slip that PAYE has been deducted, and that money is submitted to ERS on a monthly basis. It forms part of the income tax, which assists us regularly to make sure that we do collect income tax on a monthly basis.
You've just unpacked a trio of a relationship. There's the ERS, there's the employer, there's the employee, but who really, actually this one is for you, Tulile, who is expected or required exactly to pay for pay-as-you-earn?
Thank you, Natalie. Good afternoon to you and our viewers. Yes, pay-as-you-earn, the employer is the one responsible. Any authority or person who has hired an employee or who is liable to pay remuneration to any person is expected to register for pay-as-you-earn. This includes sole traders, it includes companies, trusts, and even organization. Even when someone is exempt, they're still expected to comply with PAYE obligations.
Duduzo, often the ERS speaks on deadlines to remit taxes and submit the documents that are necessary for compliance. When should an employer register for pay-as-you-earn?
So an employer should register for collecting PAYE as soon as they hire their first employee, which we give them a period of 14 days once they've hired them. So as soon as you hire your first employer, you should register within 14 days, because as soon as you collect month end, we are expecting that as the employer, you should submit to the ERS that you've collected a PAYE for this person, and this is how much you've deducted from them.
Say as an employer, maybe I have had my hands full and I'm not able to meet the 14-day period. Is there an exemption for me here? Is there any way that the ERS is still, has hands open to say you can still come through?
Yes, but we do guide that they do register immediately, because the moment you miss the first month, it means that you are non-compliant already. So there are penalties which you incur if you do miss that. So that's why we do urge that as soon as you employ one of your employees, make sure that you do register and you do collect and submit and pay on the first month.
All right, fair enough. Tulile, let's talk about the process here. How does an employer get to, or rather go about registering for pay-as-you-earn?
It's very straightforward. Usually employers may do their initial registration at ERS, where we allocate them a tax identification number. But for PAYE purposes, like Ndotozo has mentioned, that within 14 days of having their first employee. So what they need to do is they need to complete a TIN registration form, which is available at the ERS website and the ERS service centers, and they're expected to complete that form. The information that is required is very simple. It's the name of the employer, their TIN, the commencement date of PAYE deductions, and the number of employees held. And once completed, we expect them to submit the form. It can be done via email, which is info@ers.org.za, or it can also be submitted in any of our service centers.
Fair enough. Thank you, Tulile, for that one. Duduzo, my next one is for you. What if an employer stops hiring or employing people, or rather they change their business address? What does it mean in terms of deductions, in terms of remittance to the ERS?
So once again, the employer works as an agency for ERS, so we expect them to update us within 14 days that probably an employer has changed or they have changed their address, so that we also have the correct details updated on our profiles. So we require that as the agency, as they work with us, they should update us within 14 days to make sure that all of the records are up to date and are correct.
Okay. We're about to wrap it up. Tulile, I'll give you the start. What message would you like to leave with employers who are not registered for pay-as-you-earn?
Thank you, Natalie. We encourage everyone who is an employer to make sure that they are registered, even though it's way after the 14 days that has been mentioned, but we'll still call upon them to come forward. We will assist them register so that they comply, because PAYE compliance begins with the registration step.
PAYE compliance begins with registration. To do so, your final remarks, please. What would you like to say to employers, and for inquiries, where can they reach out?
Just to mention that income tax is an obligation for everyone in the country. And then secondly, all of this information we've been talking about, it is available on our website. They can visit us on www.ers.org.za to get that information. And they can also visit our service centers should they need any assistance and guidance. We are willing to assist them there. And also we're available on email at info@ers.org.za. They should write us there should they require any information, any assistance. We are willing to assist on that. And then lastly, maybe also for the employees, sometimes you do see that your pay slip has this amount which has been deducted. We do have PAYE calculator on our TaxPal app, So they can also visit that, use it, so that you're able to see that the money which is deducted is being correct and according to standard.
Make use of the TaxPal app or send an email rather to the Eswatini Revenue Service, or you can be sure to also visit them at any of their service center. After all, the Eswatini Revenue Service is here for you. That was Nduduzo Dlamini, who is the ERS Marketing and Communications Manager, and Tulile Simelane, who is the ERS Senior Taxpayer Education and Information Officer. And we were discussing all things pay as you earn registration. The show continues after this.
To all the viewers of Eswatini TV in the kingdom and beyond. Eswatini TV is regulated by the Eswatini Communications Commission through the Broadcasting Code and Broadcasting Guidelines. Under these instruments, the station commits to broadcasting information and news that have been fact-checked, programs and content in respectful language with no elements of hate speech, violence or sexual activity. If you hear any unsuitable content on this channel, you have a right to voice your complaints with the station management. Should you not be satisfied with the response or action taken, you can escalate your matter to the Communications Commission at PO Box 7811 Babani. Call 2406 7000 or send an email to info@esccom.org.za. For more information, visit www.esccom.org.za.
bekunene lo msebenzi lesiwenda kunamuhla ube ngumsebenzi lomkhulu lo hamba isikhathi wahamba eMaswatini onke awubuka ngeliso leliqophele ukuthi konke lesikwendako kugcine livela kangwane kulakhele nini bekunene
Mswatu ingozi kuthula akayithathe akahambe nayo akayithathe yadenza bakhe
Welcome back. Now for our markets analysis segment, in-house economist Sanele Sibia joins me in the studio. Mr. Sibia, good afternoon. Thank you so much for your time. Maybe before we get into the numbers, allow me to throw one in on developments with regard to the Fed. So we do have Jerome Powell's tenure coming to an end, and Kevin Walsh is poised to take over. How much uncertainty does then this leadership transition really add to the policy outlook?
Thank you, Notsile, and a good afternoon. So what we are seeing, and I think what markets are weighing right now, is the fact that you have a Trump-selected, Fed governor coming into the space, and we know that President Trump has always been complaining about taxes being, interest rates being higher, and just forcing the Feds to lower the interest rates. So we are going to go into a space where we're going to see a lot of, the administration really taking charge and trying to control the Feds, and that's where the markets are really getting worried over, because you want an independent Fed so that you're able to control things like inflation, the exchange rate, and basically the money supply, and just shoring up the value of the US dollar. So it does bring in a lot of uncertainty as of today, when the new Fed chair takes in.
Right, fair. When we look at the numbers, we do have oil rather surging above $110 per barrel, and then we also have deepening supply fears and, of course, unsuccessful Iran talks. What are markets really making or reacting to these developments?
Yeah, so markets are showing mixed reactions, more especially in the US. So at closing bells, we saw the S&P 500 taking a dip, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average also taking a dip, with just the Nasdaq, just hiking some 9.44 points. Now that's on the backdrop of, Alphabet's earnings. So we're seeing Google coming up, and also, markets are still watching, and, I think we're seeing a bit of faith right now in the AI spending, and that's a major driver for economic activity right now. And also, the fact that the Fed's chair held the interest rates a bit steady, but we are seeing the consumer stocks, which are largely laden on the S&P 500 and the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and just taking a knock because of the supply fears. You've rightly pointed that the price of Brent crude oil is now at $110 per barrel. It did reach $112 per barrel, and once we start seeing that, we know that it affects those industrials and also those consumer based stocks, right? And then when we move on to Europe, so Europe again is showing a bit of a mixed move as well. Now that's largely driven by the fact that the Eurozone is, having a bit of a cautious or a weak outlook, purely because we know that Europe depends largely on oil output that is coming out of the Persian Gulf. So what that has done, we're seeing the FTSE 100 up 111.26 points, the DAX in Germany up 86.06 points, and the CAC 40, just down negative 42.86 points. Now that's largely driven by the fact that we are seeing, a lot of uncertainty over the Strait of Hormuz, and there are more moves around Qatar, around the UAE pulling out of OPEC. So all of those uncertainties are coming into play in the markets. Japan there losing 632 points in today's trade. Hong Kong losing 335 points in today's trade, with Shanghai and Beijing up some 4.64 points. Now that's because data coming out of out of China is showing a very resilient market sector, and manufacturing with Hong Kong and Japan really just a bit taken aback by that AI spending. Johannesburg, Anglo Gold showed that diamonds output is up a bit, and the miners are pulling the market up there to 115,560 in terms of all share trade volumes today. The Eswatini Stock Exchange remains unchanged, and in terms of gold, we're seeing gold ticking up a bit, and also the price of Brent crude oil ticking up a bit. So we're expecting that should it reach the 115, 116 mark, you are then going to start seeing a negative move in markets. And in terms of the currencies, we are continuing to see that market swap with the Lilangeni weakening to 16.76. And if this continues, we are going to get back to the 17 mark. And also it's just strengthen a bit, but on a weaker, on a weaker stance across all major currencies because of the geopolitical uncertainties.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Beer. Fourth trading day for the week, and we've just had in-house economist Sanele Beer just unpacking some of those numbers for us. Otherwise, this has been the weekly broadcast of Market View, ERS Text Talk, right here on Eswatini TV. From myself and the gang, thank you so much for staying with us. Until the next time, bye-bye.